Welcome back, older persons, family caregivers, entrepreneurs, to Lana's Little Things with me, Dr. Lana, specialist gerontologist. Where we talk all things on living agelessly, bridging generational gaps, family caregiving, the joys and the struggles, entrepreneurship, those joys and struggles, just life itself. Today's topic. What are we going to talk about today? So, hope you're feeling good wherever you are, but let me tell you. It's been quite a week where the topic of communication, actually talking, using our words to speak to people, how we talk, how our tone sounds, how we communicate. That has been that's always a big topic, isn't it? And it's been more so with older persons. Now, when we're speaking, we're not talking tonight about those who have completely lost their hearing. We're speaking about how do we communicate, whether you're an older person who's losing their hearing from age related or other conditions, or whether you are a friend or a caregiver who has to interact with an older person who has a hearing, whose hearing is going down, whose hearing is impaired, who may have had damaged hearing, but they can still hear you. That's what we're going to talk about tonight, and the ways to communicate. There are kind of some do's and don'ts, but don't want to put it into like categories. We just want to know better how to communicate. Communication is the life blood, like literally blood, life giving way that we as human beings, we as creatures, God's creatures, we interact, we make our feelings known, we share thoughts, we share ideas, we share heart, we share soul, we share the positive, the negative, we bond, we create communities. You get it. It could go on and on. So why are we having a problem with communication? Well, technology has a lot to do with that. Technology that does not allow you to communicate very well because you're always here. And that's a fact. But we want to be sure that when we are dealing with our people, the older persons, and you as older persons, uh, how you would want to be communicated with is what we're going to get into. And there are a few points. There are about 5 or 7 points. We'll get into them, and we will make it as practical as possible. If you have any questions, please remember to leave our comments or what you found to work, how you use what communication skills or tips or tricks you've had to come up with. Like and subscribe, share this with a friend. Someone you know who might need it, or you might need it. Say, hey, here's what I heard. Press the notification bell for more of these videos, and let's move in. Let's go right in. So when we're talking about persons who have hard of hearing, automatic thing is, as soon as you get older, automatically, well, we got to start raising our voice because mom or dad or the older person, they are not going to hear me at all. So I have to raise my voice. Okay, we're going to get to that one. But the first thing you want to do, so this is strictly how do we interact. Well, let's start with we interact in a loving manner with a loving tone and care. Even if it's something unpleasant, we bring our empathy and compassion to the conversation. So let's start with that. Let's start with our intention to communicate and what we want to do. So now how to do it. Okay, so the person might not be facing you. They might not be as aware because some people might be losing their memory or sense of awareness, and they need visual cues more than they can have audio cues. So if someone is not right in front of you and you want to get their attention, you're in the kitchen, they're in the living room. What are you gonna do? What's the best thing? What is that? What is advice? Go to them and just gently get their attention. That's the first thing. Get their attention. Respectfully get their attention. Not, hello, you're not hearing me, and turn in front. That's gonna just start an argument, isn't it? So polite ways of getting attention. Hi. If they can hear you as you walk closer, you say hi mom, hi dad, hi mom, hi dad. And when you get closer, you say hi with a smile. Face their direction, let them know. Just want to tell you something. Don't startle them. Don't go like, Hey, that, because, that might not end well either. Mm. First thing we do, the first practical thing, get their attention. Second one, reduce the noise that is around. Now imagine, where I grew up, there was a lot of traffic. Now I live in the country, and the most noise I hear are blackbirds and mosquitoes and grasshoppers. Yeah, but even where there is lots and lots of traffic, radio is on, TV is on, traffic is there, people in the house might be talking, something else might be going on. What can't how and the person can't hear you. It's frustrating because nothing's gonna get out anyway. So the second suggestion is reduce the distracting noises because they're not going to pick up what you heard. They're going to hear snippets of it, not the whole conversation, mistake, and then the next day you're like, "Do you? I said we spoke about this yesterday," and they might, "No, I didn't hear you." But they might have not wanted to make you feel bad, or you might not wanted to have said it again, and or you might be annoyed saying it again. So to save that, just reduce the background noise. If you have to move from where the noise is into another room, by all means do so. Most simple thing, lower the volume on the TV, lower the volume on the radio, ask others in the house if it's possible. You just give me a minute. I want to just talk to mom or dad or my spouse right now, whoever you're taking care of, or we just want to have a conversation, you know. So quieter locations, look for sitting in less crowded areas if you go out. You want the communication to be as pleasant and as heard as possible. Speaking of speaking, how do you speak? What's the first thing people do when they know someone is hard of hearing, has a hearing impairment when they're older? We spoke about it earlier, so we get into it. What is it? Third point, do not shout. That's the first thing we tend to do. We raise our voices. Now, I tend to have a very clear, resonant voice. So I do have to, I'm sure you could hear me from the next country, county, whatever. But when we're speaking to an older person with hearing impairment, we want to not shout. I remember one of my lecturers when I was doing the specialty saying, do not shout. Why? Science has shown that it changes the frequency and vibration of sound. So shouting, and they can only hear at a certain frequency. That's changed. The sound is just going to be distorted, a jumble mess of noise. They're going to be looking at you blank because they're not understanding what you're saying, and you think you're raising your voice is making a difference. It's not, and it can also come across as unkind and disrespectful and dismissive, and that perception valid is valid because it seems as though, why are you shouting at me? And I can't hear what you're saying anyway. So speak as clearly. If you are a soft spoken person, you might just raise your voice a little. But generally speak at the pace that they're familiar with, that they know you speak at. The most important thing is make sure they're face to face with you. We spoke about that. So that they can use visual cues to see what you're saying, to see what you are saying. Because we do use our eyes to hear in a way, don't we? I know that sounds strange. But we want to speak clearly as well. We don't want to mumble our words. We don't want to talk too fast that they can't understand what we're saying. We don't want to speak slowly because that can also come across as disrespectful, as if they're a child. It's a child they're talking to and they're dumb. No, remember empathy, love. That's where we started. So think, if you were having a hearing issue, what would you want? How would you want to be spoken to? So normal pace, normal volume, uh, normal cadence, which is the rhythm of your speech. Make it as natural as possible and let the person be able to face you so that they can see your words. Don't hide your face when you're talking. That's going to defeat the purpose. So, side talking conversations, not going to work either because they're not going to get the visual cues from what you're saying. Did you get what I just said? I mean, you heard it, but if you turn the sound off, would you have noticed what I said? Hardly. So that's what we want to do. Clear, respectful speech. If you have to say, if they did not hear you, don't raise any louder. So this is kind of a third and fourth point. Just repeat what you said. I know that can be like I said it over and over and over and over again. That might be a different story. Maybe the person has a bit of dementia or cognitive impairment and they really needed to process what you said or didn't quite understand. So just gently repeat it in a different way. Don't say the same words over and over again. Repeat what you said but in a different way. Use the same kind of phrasing, slightly different wording to get the point across. Rephrase it. It's just what we would do in everyday life. But remember, we're dealing with someone who has an who for whom there is an impediment, and we want to be considerate because there, but for the grace of God, go us all. The true empathy goes a long, 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 long way. What about What about the lighting? Well, if it's dark and we're trying to use visual cues, that ain't gonna work. So if it's nighttime, turn the light on. If it's daytime and it's too dark, turn the light on. Or make sure if you're facing a sun, or if the window is sunny, the room is sunny, and the person cannot move, make light somewhere. You can always open the curtains, the shutters, something that will allow the light to be facing you so that they can see when you're speaking with them. Don't backlight, don't block their light. Make it clear enough for them to be able to see what you're saying and then interpret what they're hearing. Again, another one we want to do is be sure to what you see me doing all the time. I mean, I'm known for this. Sometimes maybe I overdo it. Hey, we all got something to work on. What about gestures? So gestures, how we do that to say how tall something is, how short it is, how wide it was, how hard it was, how much fun we had. All those you can tell not without even hearing what I said. Give you a clue as to what I'm talking about. So our gestures, our hand gestures, not overdone, but hand gestures that are relevant to the topic we're talking about, or facial expression, kind, but if it's a serious matter, you don't want to be fake smiling. If it's joyous matter, by all means, smile. It is communication. It is an exchange of ideas and heart and soul. Yeah? Okay. The last one, not final because it's that important. We're all discussing them as we go along. So we want to face, we want to use gestures. Sometimes persons actually prefer, older persons might actually help, it might benefit if you write it down. But ask them if they would prefer you to write down what they said. Obviously, this is if they can read and are able to see the print that you're writing. All that said, and that shows respect, and that shows consideration and empathy. All that said, when it comes to hearing impediments, sometimes, just a caveat, just a buyer's beware kind of thing, sometimes the hearing actually does need a doctor's intervention. Maybe you do need to go to the doctor. Maybe there's wax buildup and that's impairing the hearing. You'd know if that tended to get worse over time. Maybe it is a hearing problem for which a hearing aid can be fitted. Many hearing problems, though, hearing aids don't always work for. And many older persons are not able to, they are not available or as affordable or as desirable because, it's for some it's a matter of pride and we have to respect that. They may not want a device in their ear for everybody to see that something is wrong. So we just grace for the space for everyone and we just make it a smooth run, shall we? So remember those points. Basically, we're going to start with empathy, understanding, use lighting, use our words gently. We don't shout, we minimize distractions, and make sure we are face to face and that our communication is as kind and as clear as possible. Well, this was clear. Again, share with a friend, Communication goes both ways. Our tone of voice can be can be heard and felt as well. So we want to make sure we have good energy when we communicate. And this is not just with older persons. This is with children, with our spouse, with our significant other, with our friends. We want to make sure that our communication is kind, respectful, seasoned with salt, as the Bible says, so that we make it pleasant. From my heart to yours, trust this was helpful. Again, share with a friend. Join me on my website, Lana's Little Things. I do coaching for family caregivers, for physicians who have to deal with older persons. My courses, you can just email me. The link is below. Remember to let's join because join forces, we work better together. Again, good morning, good evening, good night. From my heart to yours, Dr. Lana saying, good communications, smile, happy trails until we see each other again. Mwah.